There's an unspoken role some people play in families. The reliable one, the constant, the foundation that silently supports everyone else. That was me. Growing up, the contrast between my sister Emma and me couldn't have been more obvious. She was our parents' pride and joy, the accomplished daughter, the loving wife, the mother of two adorable children. Meanwhile, I was just there. James, the dependable son who handled his responsibilities without complaint. The pattern started innocently enough after I landed my first real job. "James, honey, could you help with the electric bill this month?" my mother asked one evening. "We're a bit stretched thin right now." I didn't think twice about it. I had steady income and no major expenses, so why not help my family? But that small request opened floodgates I never saw coming. "Emma's son needs braces," my mother explained during our monthly call. "You know how tight things are for them right now." This became our routine. Car repairs for my parents. School supplies for my niece and nephew. Emergency home fixes. Medical bills. "You're so fortunate, James," my mother would often tell me. No family to support. No real responsibilities like Emma has. I nodded and smiled through these conversations, suppressing the twinge of resentment that grew with each passing year. Yes, I had fewer obligations, but I also had dreams, one in particular that I'd been nurturing quietly for years. Travel. Seeing the world beyond our small community had been my passion since childhood. I'd carefully saved what I could, researching destinations, planning itineraries, imagining myself in those faraway places. Yet somehow, whenever I got close to making those dreams reality, another family crisis would emerge, requiring my financial assistance. After years of postponing my own desires, I finally decided to treat myself. I booked a 2-week trip to Italy, my dream destination since college. I told no one about it, knowing they'd somehow find a reason I shouldn't go or couldn't afford it. The morning of my departure arrived with that unique blend of anticipation and anxiety that accompanies significant journeys. I stood in the economy boarding line, passport clutched tightly, mentally reviewing my carefully planned itinerary. That's when I heard familiar laughter. "Ethan, put your backpack down. These first-class seats have plenty of room." My sister's voice cut through the airport noise like a knife. I turned slowly, certain I was hallucinating. But no, there they were. Emma, her husband, their 2 children, and my parents, all standing in the priority boarding line, looking relaxed and joyful in coordinated vacation outfits. My parents, who just last week told me they couldn't possibly afford to join me on my trip when I casually mentioned it. My sister, who constantly needed my financial help for her struggling family. "I still feel terrible about not bringing James," my mother said, adjusting her designer carry-on. Emma laughed dismissively. "Please, Mom, he wouldn't have fit in with us anyway." The casual cruelty of her words froze me in place. As they disappeared into first class, completely unaware of my presence, something fundamental shifted inside me. For the first time in my adult life, I decided to disappear. No check-in texts. No calls to make sure everyone was okay. Nothing. Italy was everything I'd imagined. Ancient cobblestone streets, incredible food, breathtaking art, and history you could feel in the air around you. I should have been completely present in this long-awaited experience. Yet at night, sitting on my hotel balcony watching the lights of Rome, those words kept echoing. He wouldn't have fit in any way. It wasn't really about the money, though that stung sharply enough. It was the realization that after all these years of sacrifice, I wasn't even considered part of their inner circle. I was the outsider, the ATM, the reliable resource they could tap whenever needed, but never truly include. When I returned home a week later, the first call came exactly as I predicted. "James, how was your little trip?" My mother's voice was overly cheerful. "Wonderful," I answered flatly. "That's great, honey. Listen, your father and I are in a bit of a tight spot this month. Could you help with groceries? You know how things are." I let the silence stretch between us, then laughed, a sound so foreign to my own ears I barely recognized it. Groceries? I finally said. Like the ones you bought after your first-class flight? Dead silence followed, then nervous laughter. James, that was different. We had saved airline miles, and Emma found a great deal. Don't, I interrupted. Just don't. Sweetheart, it's not what you think. We would have taken you if we could, but you could, I said, my voice unnaturally calm. You just didn't want to. More silence, then. We didn't think you'd mind. Those words crystallized everything. They hadn't even considered my feelings worth contemplating. No apology, no guilt, just the casual assumption that I would continue being available whenever needed. No more, I whispered, more to myself than to her. 2 days later, Emma called. I almost ignored it, but curiosity won out. What do you want? I answered. Oh, so now you're too important for family? She snapped. First class must have really changed your perspective, I replied. Are you seriously upset about that? Grow up, James. I'm growing up, I said. That's why I'm done financing your lifestyle. A pause, then her voice shifted to that sweet, manipulative tone I knew all too well. Come on, James. You know how hard things are for us. You don't have kids. You don't have real responsibilities. Right, I agreed. Yet somehow I paid for Ethan's soccer fees last month. Well, yeah, she said, as if it were obvious. You always do. Not anymore. Another pause, then laughter. You can't be serious. You're such a selfish. I hung up before she could finish. For the first time in my adult life, I felt weightless. The silence didn't last long. By morning, my phone was flooded. Mom, James, I don't know what's gotten into you, but this is unacceptable. Families help each other. Call me back. Dad, son, stop being dramatic. Your sister and the kids need your help. Be reasonable. Emma, are you actually ignoring Mom and Dad? Wow, you really think you're better than us now. I ignored them all, made myself coffee, and sat in peaceful silence, something I hadn't experienced in years without someone demanding something from me. By noon, the guilt trips escalated to panic. Another call from my mother went to voicemail, followed immediately by a text. James, please. We have a problem. I roll my eyes. Another crisis, another emergency I was expected to fix. Then it's about the house. Despite my bitter judgment, I called back. What now? I asked when she answered. James, she sighed dramatically. Your father and I didn't want to worry you, but things have been tight, and we're behind on the mortgage. I pinched the bridge of my nose. And you're just telling me this now? We didn't want to bother you, she insisted. But now, we need your help. Help? I scoffed. You mean you want me to pay it? It's just this month, she rushed to explain. Just to keep us afloat until things settle. That's interesting, I said, leaning back. You could afford first-class tickets, but not your mortgage? Silence, then. It wasn't like that, James. It was exactly like that, I countered. You didn't think twice about spending money on Emma's family. But when it comes to your own son, there's suddenly nothing left. That's not fair, she snapped. You don't understand what it's like to have real responsibilities. You're right, I don't, I replied coldly. Because instead of building my own life, I've been too busy financing yours. More silence. Then in a softer voice, James, we need you. The truth, finally. They needed me. Not because they valued me, not because they loved me, but because without me, their carefully constructed facade would collapse. I know, I acknowledged, but you're going to have to figure it out without me. I hung up, and for the first time, felt no guilt whatsoever. The remarkable piece lasted 3 days before Emma appeared at my door unannounced. What is wrong with you? She hissed, barging in without invitation. Excuse me. Mom is falling apart. Dad is freaking out. And now I'm stuck dealing with all of it because you decided to have a tantrum. I crossed my arms. You mean you're finally handling problems yourself for once? She rolled her eyes. Don't be dramatic. This is about the trip, isn't it? You're jealous because we didn't invite you. I laughed in disbelief. You really don't get it. Oh, please, enlighten me, she sneered. I took a deep breath. It's not about the trip, Emma. It's about years of being treated like the family bank. I've covered bills, helped with your kids, paid for emergencies, while you all acted like I didn't exist unless you needed money. That's not true, isn't it? When was the last time Mom called just to check on me? Or Dad asked how I was doing? My phone only rings when someone needs something, and I allowed it because I thought that's what family meant. Then I saw you all in first class, laughing about how I wouldn't fit in. Her face paled. I had her. So no, I continued. This isn't about the trip. This is about realizing I was never truly part of this family. I was just your safety net, and I'm done being that. Emma's mouth opened and closed, but no retort came. Finally, she grabbed her purse. Fine, she said coldly. Do whatever you want, but don't come crawling back when you realize what a mistake you've made. I smiled. Don't worry, I won't. She slammed the door on her way out. In the quiet that followed, I felt truly free. My father was next, texting me to come for Sunday dinner. We need to talk, he wrote. Family code for we need something from you. I'm busy, I replied. Minutes later, my phone rang. James, he began, attempting to sound reasonable. Enough is enough. You're acting childish. Really? From where I'm sitting, I'm the only one acting like an adult. A pause, then a sigh. Son, you're making this harder than it needs to be. We're family. Families don't abandon each other. Abandon? I repeated. You mean like how you abandoned me at the airport? That's not fair, he protested. We didn't mean anything by that. Maybe not, I conceded, but you did not mean it either. Silence, then the inevitable pivot. Your mother is very upset. She's been crying over this. She just wants things to go back to normal. So do I said, but normal means being treated like a walking wallet, and I'm done with that. That's not what this is about. Then why are you calling now, Dad? Why didn't you call just to check on me last week? Or the week before? Why is it only when you need money? After a long silence, he finally said, I don't understand what you want from us, James. Nothing, I said. That's the whole point. The next phase was desperation. Days of silence followed, then a text from Emma. I hope you're happy. Mom and Dad are in serious trouble because of you. They'll manage, I replied. No, they won't. They're 2 months behind on their mortgage, and the bank is sending notices. It didn't matter when you were buying first-class tickets. Oh my God, let it go. That was one time, and it was the one time I saw the truth. The next morning, my mother called again. James, she sniffled, we're in trouble. The bank is threatening foreclosure. I remained silent. I know things have been tense, she continued, voice trembling, but we're your parents. Please, just help us this one last time. One last time. The exact phrase they'd used the first time they ever asked for money. No, I said simply. James. No, I repeated. Silence. Then the transformation from sadness to anger. You're being selfish. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us. Done for me. I laughed bitterly. Mom, name one thing, one single thing, you've done for me in the last 5 years that didn't involve asking for money. Nothing. Not a word. Good luck, Mom, I said and hung up. Weeks passed, and eventually news filtered back to me. Emma had finally stepped up, dipping into her savings to help our parents, something she'd never done while I was available to be their financial crutch. She was covering their mortgage, utilities, and credit card debt that had been accumulating for months. It wasn't going well. A mutual friend told me Emma and her husband were fighting constantly about money. Apparently, he hadn't known the extent of my parents' reliance on me, and now that Emma was shouldering the burden, their financial situation was strained. Their perfect life was cracking, their easy smiles fading. And me? I had never felt lighter. For the first time in years, my paycheck belonged to me alone. I redecorated my apartment, bought new furniture, even splurged on that high-end espresso machine I'd been eyeing. I took another trip, Japan this time, a place I'd dreamed of visiting since my teens. I lived without guilt, without emergency texts, without shame for spending my own money on myself. It was like stepping into an alternate reality where I wasn't just a resource for people who claimed to love me. Then one evening, scrolling through social media, I noticed a tag post from one of Emma's friends, a photo of my sister and her husband at dinner, looking exhausted. The caption read, "Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Hang in there, Emma." Her usual stream of perfect family photos had dried up. No beach trips, no lavish birthday parties, no bragging about her wonderful life, just silence. Then, an unexpected message from Kelly, Emma's friend. "Hey James, I don't know if I should tell you this, but things are really bad for them now." "Why are you telling me?" I asked. "Because I know how much you did for them, and now that you've stopped, everything's falling apart." Shortly after, she sent a screenshot from Emma's private group chat. "James is such a fool. He's just sitting there watching us suffer like we deserve this. He doesn't care about anyone but himself. I had to drain my savings just to keep mom and dad afloat. And guess what? They're still drowning. We can't keep this up, and Mark is furious. He says it's all their fault for relying on James in the first place. I swear to God, if James doesn't come crawling back soon, I don't know what we're going to do." I laughed out loud. Crawling back? She still thought I was the one who needed them. A week later, my phone rang. Unknown number. Something told me to answer. "Hello, James." My father's voice, one I hadn't heard in over a month. "What do you want?" I asked flatly. He sighed heavily. "Son, listen, we need to talk." "We really don't." "James," he said, his tone dropping into familiar condescension. "Enough is enough. You've made your point, but we're your parents, and this is getting ridiculous." "What's ridiculous?" I asked. "That I finally have boundaries?" "You're abandoning your family over a stupid vacation," he snapped. "This isn't about the vacation," I said, patience wearing thin. "This is about years I spent sacrificing for a family that never once appreciated it." "That's not true," he quickly countered. "We always appreciated you." "Then why was I never included?" I challenged. Silence. I could hear him breathing, processing the weight of the question, but he couldn't bring himself to acknowledge it. "We can fix this," he offered instead. "Your mother and I." "Fix what, Dad?" I interrupted. "The fact that I finally have boundaries? The fact that you can't manipulate me anymore? Because that's not fixing anything. That's just reverting to how things were." Another silence. Then, "Emma's struggling, James. She needs help." I couldn't help but laugh. "Oh, so now Emma needs me?" "She's drowning. Mark's talking about selling the house. The kids don't understand what's happening." "Not my problem." "James, be reasonable." "I am," I said calmly. For the first time in my life, I'm being completely reasonable. A long silence followed. Then my father's voice turned cold. "So that's it? You're just walking away?" "You walked away first," I reminded him. "At the airport, remember?" After another extended silence, he finally spat out a bitter "fine" and hung up. That was the last time I ever heard from my father. I expected another round of begging from my mother, but it never came. Emma stopped messaging completely. A month later, I heard through friends that they'd sold their house, the one with the pool Emma had bragged about for years, and moved into a much smaller place across town. My parents had been forced to downsize too, trading their 4-bedroom home for a modest townhouse. The family that had laughed about how I wouldn't fit in with them was finally experiencing life without their safety net. Without me. 6 months passed. Then, one ordinary Tuesday evening, my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I approached cautiously and peeked through the peephole. My mother stood there, alone, looking older than I remembered and noticeably thinner. For a moment, I considered pretending I wasn't home, but something made me open the door. She looked up at me, eyes rimmed red from either recent or frequent crying. "James," she whispered, voice cracking. "No demands. No manipulation. Just my name." I said nothing, waiting. "I didn't come to ask for anything," she continued, wringing her hands. I needed to see you." I stepped aside, allowing her in. She entered hesitantly, glancing around at my newly decorated apartment. "It looks nice," she said quietly. You've done well for yourself. I nodded, still not speaking. She sat on the edge of my couch, looking smaller than I had ever seen her. Your father and I. She began, then stopped, collecting herself. We're managing. It's been an adjustment. I remained standing, arms crossed. Emma and Mark separated. She continued. She moved in with us. The kids are struggling with it all. I felt a twinge of something. Not quite sympathy, but awareness of the magnitude of change they'd experienced. James, she finally said, looking up at me, I'm sorry. We took you for granted. We used you. We treated you like you weren't really part of the family unless we needed something. And I didn't see it until everything fell apart. I studied her face, searching for the manipulation I'd come to expect, but found only exhaustion and regret. Why now? I asked. Why the apology now? She smiled sadly. Because I finally understand what we lost. Not the money our son, the one person who always showed up for us, even when we didn't deserve it. I felt years of tension in my shoulders, wondering if this was just another strategy. I don't expect you to forgive us, she continued. I don't expect you to help us. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what we did, and I'm so deeply ashamed. For the first time since that day at the airport, I felt something crack inside me. Not my resolve, but the hard shell of resentment I'd been living behind. Do you want coffee? I asked finally. Relief washed over her face as she nodded. As I prepared 2 cups, I realized that walking away had never been about punishment. It had been about finding my own worth in a family that had forgotten to see it. They needed to learn my value, and I needed to learn that I had value beyond what I could give them. I handed her the coffee and sat across from her, not ready to forgive, but perhaps ready to listen. The road back, if there was one, would be long and difficult, with new boundaries firmly in place. But as we sat in silence, sipping our coffee, I realized something important. The invisible pillars of a family aren't meant to be invisible at all. They're meant to be seen, acknowledged, and treasured, not for what they provide, but simply for being part of the foundation that holds everything together.